Hi guys, my name is Rhea Goyal and today we're going to talk about The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I hope I'm not butchering his last name. So this is his debut novel and it's a psychological thriller. So I'm going to structure this video in two parts, one that contains zero spoilers and the other one that contains, well, a lot of spoilers because I'm just going to basically tell you the whole story. So let me just tell you a little bit about the novel first. So the novel, as I said earlier, is a psychological thriller and it is mostly circled around two characters, Theo Faber and Alicia. So Alicia is the lead character and she has been convicted of killing her own husband. This happened 6 years ago, and since the day of the murder, she has not said a single word, hence the name Silent Patient. So Theo Faber, who is a psychologist, has taken up a job in the Grove where Alicia has been admitted because she was found to be mentally unstable, and he is just fascinated by her and he wants to know what's her deal is, like whether she has murdered her husband, whether she hasn't, and if she hasn't, then why is she not saying anything to defend herself. So the story continues, and the story has been told from two perspectives. First is from Theo's perspective, since he's treating Alicia, and second is from Alicia's diary entries, because, well, she is not speaking. So as the story progresses, we get to know that how Theo meets various people in Alicia's life, and he gets to know that what could have led up to the events, what could be the characters in her life that must have influenced her, made her the person that she is. We also get to see how the case impacts, well, Theo's life, his marriage, etc. This book, I must say, is such a page turner. It's very short, like the chapters are very short, 4 to 5 pages long, and no, they don't end with a cliffhanger, but they end in such a manner that you feel like you have to know what happens next. So it's a total page turner. It has a humongous twist in the end. It is definitely very simple. The story is not complex. The characters are not one-dimensional. They are well explained. They have been given proper backgrounds. You can, I won't say you can relate to them because this is not that kind of book, but you can definitely have fun knowing about them. So as I said earlier, it is amazing and I would definitely recommend the novel. Now let me just tell you the whole story very quickly, because I just feel like it's such a good story and it's such a, I mean, there is a movie that is being made on it, so in case you don't like to read, you can always watch the movie when it comes out. So here goes, like, the spoiler part. So the story, as I said earlier, consists of Alicia and Theo and how he is treating her. So 6 years ago, Alicia was charged as guilty for the murder of her husband. So he was shot in the face 5 times, and when the police saw them, he was all tied up and the fingerprints of Alicia were on the gun, so the evidence was very clear and she was just convicted. Also, she didn't do anything to defend herself. She showed zero emotions, no emotions of anger, sadness, happiness, grieving, nothing. She was just silent. So people just assumed that, okay, yes, she must have murdered him. And she was also been to be mentally unstable because obviously since she is not saying anything, people just think that maybe she's in shock and she has lost her mind or whatever. So she has been committed into a psychiatric facility instead of a prison. So Theo, who's a psychologist who works somewhere else right now, he gets very fascinated by her case. He wants to know what's going on in her head. So he takes up a job in the Grove where Alicia is admitted, and he starts to treat her and starts to read her diary, etc. And we get to know there are entries that a masked man was watching their house just weeks before the murder. So we get intrigued. And what happens is that Theo talks to Alicia's cousin and he tells her that when Alicia was a child, her mother committed suicide. And when she did that, her father wished out loud that he wished that instead of her mother, Alicia was dead. This impacted Alicia's psyche heavily. And Theo narrates this incident to Alicia, that how he talked to her cousin, etc. And this induces her to speak. So she tells her that 6 years ago, a masked man entered the house and murdered Gabriel, who was her husband. Now, it is revealed, and the humongous twist that I was talking about, here it is. So it is revealed that Theo was the masked man, and Theo's wife was cheating on him with Gabriel, who is Alicia's husband. And Theo just wanted to show Alicia that how selfish Gabriel is. So one fine day, he walked into her house, he tied her up, he tied up her husband, and he pointed a gun to his face and just asked him that if he could save himself or his wife, who would he save? And the husband chose to save himself. Now Theo didn't harm them in any way. He didn't kill him. He just walked out of the house because his intention was to show Alicia that how selfish her husband is. But this whole incident triggered Alicia's psyche, that the incident reminded her of her past, that how her dad wanted her dead instead of her mom. So this triggered something in her and she killed her husband. And since Alicia earlier told Theo that how a masked man killed her husband, Theo comes to know, like he understands that Alicia has recognized him, and he tries to kill her through drug overdose. But as she is drifting into unconsciousness, she makes these entries into her diaries, which leads the police to Theo, and he eventually does get caught. And the last scene is kind of like he is being relieved. He is feeling relieved that finally he has been caught, because for 6 years he had been going around in circles, imagining what it would be when he gets caught. So like finally this is all over, which is why I just love this novel so much, because it is such a fun read. It is so quick and it doesn't feel like a debut novel to me. It was so much fun, such short chapters, a very, very fast-paced read. I would definitely recommend it. It is 5 out of 5 for me, and there is a movie being made on it, and I'm very, very excited to watch it. I hope you like this video, and see you in the next one.